As Fayers would say, proper cross-country weather. It was just good to be out there, home meet, home course. We put a lot of work into the course over the last 4 years, but even from last year to this year, and to kind of just see that continue to improve and get better, and have a home meet, and perform well both men's side, women's side was fantastic. Obviously, the win on the guys' side is a big moment for the program, but a lot of it's just the thing we say around here all the time is just eyes up, and we just got to keep looking forward to what's ahead and what's next, and keep building and working to improve things.
Question.
I mean, aside from the obvious, why do you think this weekend was so emotional?
There's a lot of it. I mean, like someone asked me, afterwards. We had alumni weekend this weekend too, the first alumni weekend in program history. So we had people back from the 1983 class. It was the very first women's team in school history. There was, a group of people back from when I took over. There was 5 guys and 5 women left in the entire program, and some of those people were back. And so there was just a lot of like things that, like you said, make that emotional, and to have a home meet that didn't exist on a course that didn't exist, and it was really, really cool moment. And it'll be forever a moment in my coaching career that is special to me. And the clip that Andrew got of Danny and I at the end, and after the guys, we knew the guys had won, and Danny was one of the first people to believe in what we were building here, and here we are. And he came back for his 5th year, and he, for the first time in his entire career, he won't be on the Big East roster. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, as a freshman, he was one of our top 3 runners. And so that's tough, right? But at the same time, like some of those conversations that he and I have shared, and he's not the only senior that's not on that roster for the first time ever. Michael Buckley's not on it. Michael Buckley as a freshman, the last time we were in Kenosha, was our number 1. And on the ladies' side, Jess and CJ aren't going to make the Big East team as seniors, and neither is Colburn, who came back for a 5th year. And so that's tough. I feel like, it took those people believing in what Coach Fayers and I were doing here and building here for us to get to this point. Like, this point doesn't happen without them. And I think that's what's special about it. One of my favorite quotes is, not everybody's willing to be part of it. Everybody wants to be there at the end, but until you go through the process, you don't know who's worth being there till the end. And we had people that were worth, that believed in what we were doing and have been here for the entire journey. And it's very, very bittersweet in some ways that they've helped elevate the program to this point that they're no longer, in that top 10. And that's it's a lot. It's a lot. So.
How do you see the Big East championships shaping up? I know it's great competition.
Yeah, Big East is brutal this year. I had an alum message me the other day. He's like, "Oh, you fired up for Big East?" I'm like, Big East is always good. Men's side has 3 nationally ranked teams. I say all the time, people say, "Oh, Big East is a basketball conference." Big East is a cross-country conference. There's 13 national championships in the Big East in cross-country. Georgetown women are 3rd nationally right now. So yeah, we as good as we feel about this last weekend, we have our work cut out for us, for next Saturday in Kenosha, which will be a tough, challenging course. But those programs in the Big East are really good at what they do, and we're just trying to continue to raise the bar and where we fit into that equation, and continue to improve our standing and how we perform and compete. And we have some goals especially for Danielle and Marcos individually. Looking for some placements there, but also from a team perspective, we're wanting both of our teams to move up again in those Big East standings for the team scores. But yeah, the top part of the Big East is just daunting when you look at how good they are on a national level. But that's also exciting. You are truly competing against the best. There is no question, no doubt of us being at that conference meet and seeing what we do stack up.
Fayers was, he said it was still undecided, but he said it was probably getting close to set in stone that Marcos and Danielle were going to be number 1s going into Big East. Like,
yeah.
to see them perform really well in your last competition before Big East, knowing that they were probably maybe feeling the maybe that anxiety of having to set the tone as number ones? Like, is that last weekend good for them in terms of how they can go forward now and perform when it's time to stack up against the rest of the conference?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both ran incredibly well in what I would not consider fast conditions, running, rainy and muddy and slipping a little bit here and there in a few spots. And they both competed and ran really well. And for them to come off of a week that we still kind of trained through. We had a big workout yesterday morning. Honestly, one of the biggest workouts of the year. They both cruised through that. It's I feel like our training's coming together. It's in the right place. But so not just confidence for them, but confidence throughout for both teams right now is pretty high. Just feel good about where we're at and looking to do something that I don't want to say it's never been done here before, but hasn't been done in a while here before. And we've never had a men's all Big East performer in cross country. And can Marcos be the first? It depends on how the race plays out. Depends on the course conditions. There's a lot of things. But he definitely has the talent level to do that. And can Danielle repeat? She was all Big East as a sophomore. I think same thing. Depending on how that race plays out. At the same time, from the time she was a sophomore to now, UConn's in the conference. They weren't then, so that's an additional 10 people running that are fighting for those same spots. So, but I'm excited. I think we're in a good place, and just looking forward to the opportunity to get out there and compete.
Any conversations, any takeaways from that alumni weekend that really stood out to you from either folks who you met for the first time or that just speak about the status of this program now?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Even today, I had a couple alumni text and messages that weren't able to make it this last weekend. It's just I had a couple of guys email me from the 1972 team. There was a short window of time where from like 1969 to 73, 74 we had cross country. It was used as men's basketball conditioning primarily. So, but yeah, it's just been awesome to hear from people and have people reach out. I had some really good conversations with some people from the 1980s teams and their stories of them and how far things have come. It was Ed Hubbs was the coach, and he drove the van out into the road. He literally dropped him off, and like, hey, if you want to get back, you got to run back, type of thing. And just like how far some of these things have come, but the encouragement and support from alumni and people, just kind of getting excited about us, on the guys' side winning that meet and kind of seeing what's happening right now. It does it, and not just to me, not just to Fairs, as the staff, but to our kids, when we had a couple people back from the 17-18 team that when I took over, when those guys were back, it's just encouraging and to kind of see that momentum start to build and people start to get behind it and be proud of it. That's pretty cool.
Any conversations with Coach Mack or Baylor or Kalk or any of the guys about reviving that partnership?
We should probably. I'm sure Mac would be all over that. Bring back cross country as conditioning. I think their basketball. They probably didn't have all the days they have. Their basketball practice year round now, so they didn't need the cross country anymore. But I wonder how some of them would fare. That'd be interesting.
Anything else?